Welcome to episode 1 of I Bleeping Love Packaging, a podcast for people who bleeping love packaging, and for those who just don't know it yet. My name's AJ. Today we're going to talk about my journey into packaging because I'm selfish and it's my podcast and I can do that. If you don't want to learn about me, skip to the next episode, which is probably also going to still be about me because this is probably going to be a 2-part episode. But after that, skip to the next one. That should be our first guest. Okay, so let's dive in. The year is 2008. I'm in high school at Gates Chile High School, which is a suburb of Rochester, New York, taking a class called Design and Drawing for Production with my teacher, Mr. G. Big shout out, Mr. G. Super important to my packaging journey. DDP is the first time that I get introduced to drawing with a purpose other than art. And most students take this as a freshman, but I was a junior because I was a band nerd and I couldn't take electives until my junior year. Our first project was making 2D plate drawings in Rhinoceros. This came pretty easy to me as I'd always loved geometry, and I wanted to be a geometry teacher before getting into prosthetics. Okay, side note time. Part of the reason why I didn't want to get into geometry teaching after taking geometry was because there was this one time we did a trivia lesson where you had to yell out the answer as fast as possible. And what was on the screen? A triangle with a circle around it, touching all 3 corners. Do you know what that's called? Circumscribing a triangle. Do you know what 9th grade AJ taking 10th grade math yelled out? Circumcising a triangle. And I never lived it down the rest of my high school career. Okay, back to the plate drawings. So I really enjoyed doing this plate drawing because it was kind of an investigative CAD work, right? They would give you 2 out of 3 dimensions you would need in order to figure out what the length of something was, or where to place a circle, or where to put a hole, or what kind of radius a corner needed to be. And to me, that was really fun. It was something that you had to kind of do a little investigative work and figure out the missing piece. And just like geometry proofs, again, big nerd, that really excited me. The next project I remember working on in DDP was the packaging project. We were split into about 6 groups and needed to come up with a way to ship cherry tomatoes in the mail, have weights dropped on them, and have it dropped from a ladder from a certain height. The rules were pretty simple. All the boxes had to be exactly the same size across all the groups. I think it was something like a 4-inch cube box, a tuck box actually. All the boxes had to hold 4 cherry tomatoes. Each group had to make 4 identical boxes, 1 for each test and a spare, and it had to have branding, logos, graphics, etc., all done by hand. You could use any materials you wanted as long as you could get 4 identical boxes out of it. So our group, going practical with this, was like, we're going to make it out of cardboard because it's packaging and we're going to use cardboard. And if you're a packaging person listening to this podcast right now and you're like, cardboard's not such thing, AJ, what are you talking about cardboard? I'm talking about high school 2008, AJ. High school 2008, AJ called it cardboard. And also, I'm going to be very honest with you. If you're one of the packaging people who calls it anything but cardboard, people don't like you. Okay, so we cheap out. We decide we're going to use cardboard. Other people around the room, I see them using erector sets. Somebody's bringing in foam. Somebody actually brought in an egg crate that they're going to cut up and use inside their box. No, we're using cardboard because we're going to make it from scratch because we like to be difficult. So we decide we're going to make some sort of honeycomb style packaging solution. That's what we called it, where we took basically 9 strips of cardboard, overlaid them to the top of each other and made a grid pattern. Bigger in the middle for the cherry tomatoes to sit, smaller at the top and the bottom to stop them from bouncing up and down. Honestly, it kind of felt like we were phoning it in because everyone else had these fancy inserts and we were making ours out of cardboard, but we'll see what happens on testing day. That's what our thought was. So testing day shows up, everybody brings their boxes, we all get graded on how similar they are to each other and the ability for them to pass all these tests. So one of the options you have is to pick how high you want to drop it from the ladder. So we pick the highest possible option. Then we pick the highest possible weight to drop on it. And when it comes back from the mail, guess what? No damage to the cherry tomatoes. And we end up with a really great grade. And our teacher comes over to us afterwards and says, hey, you guys should look into packaging. And I quote verbatim, what I say to Mr. G is, that sounds dumb. Why would I want to get into packaging? It's just making boxes all day. I was going to make prosthetics. I was going to do something cool and engineering. I was going to do something highly design rated, not make boxes. I was going to go to RIT. I knew that's where I wanted to go, Rochester Institute of Technology. I was going to become a mechanical engineer. I was going to make cool stuff. I didn't want to make boxes. So we're going to go on a little bit of a time jump here. We're going to skip the rest of junior year. It's not that eventful. All you need to know is I did terrible in AP biology, and therefore I knew I was not going to get into prosthetics. My average that year was about a C in AP biology, and although I did pretty well on the AP bio exam, I knew that it just wasn't for me. So That summer, I went to RIT for a college and careers program, which basically was a weekend of just an opportunity to go and experience different majors and career paths and different opportunities at RIT. I had a buddy, Steve, he came with me, and you get to stay in the dorms for the weekend. It was really fun. They had activities, they had like an orientation night, and everybody gets there. It's like exciting to be at RIT. It's like they're like welcoming you as a freshman, even though you're not a freshman and you're getting ready to go into senior year of high school. And it's like a big propaganda thing. They're like, come to RIT, but like I already knew I wanted to go to RIT, so you don't have to sell me on it. I get it. Anyways, that weekend I signed up for 5 different classes. I think it was graphic design, mathematics, mechanical engineering, computer-aided drawing, and packaging, which was the last class of the weekend. That's going to become very important later in the story. So it's orientation night. We're all socializing, and we're having a great time. Steve and I are meeting new people. We're trying to like make friends. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do that night, etc., right? So we end up meeting this girl. Her name's not going to be said on this podcast. And she was like, we should all hang out. Like, absolutely. So we all hang out that night. It was a great time. We like chill out in the dorms, which is like very cool of us because we're in high school, we're in the dorms. And the next day we wake up and we go to class, right? Nothing happens. It's cool. Don't worry. And yeah, so the next day we go and do classes and we all decide, hey, we're going to all meet back up again tonight and we're going to hang out again. And so we go to our classes, and I go to graphic design, and I go to computer-aided design, and I go to mathematics. And just rewinding a little bit, when I went to graphic design, they had like a tutorial that you had to follow, right? It was like, hey, here's what we're going to do. And everyone opened up Illustrator, and I had never opened up Illustrator before in my entire life. And they're like, we're going to start doing this vector drawing. And I'm like, I don't know what that even means. So it was a very quick thing that I lost myself in very fast. Did not pay attention the rest of that time in that class and kind of just like zoned out. Then I went to math, and math was math. I knew math, but like didn't really know if I wanted to do a career in math, so kind of zoned out in that also. Went to mechanical engineering, kind of paid attention in that one because that was one that I definitely wanted to do something in. And then it was the end of the day. So we're like, okay, we're done. We all met back up at the Gordon Fieldhouse, which at RIT is the big field house, the big gym. And we had another round of fun activities that night, and I was in a pie eating contest, and I won the pie eating contest, which, if you know me, makes a lot of sense because I love pie and I'm a big guy and I should win that contest. At the time in high school, I was like 100 pounds lighter, but that's neither here nor there. I love pie, and it was a great time. And the individual that we were hanging out with, me and Steve, was like, hey, I got to leave early tomorrow. You guys should like cut class and come hang out with me instead of going to your class. And I'm like, yeah, definitely going to do that 100%. So it's Sunday. There's 2 classes left and it's, I don't know, something. And then packaging is the very last class. And I go to the first class and I know that I'm just like zoning out and not really paying attention to this thing. I feel terrible because I'm wasting all this time and money from my parents who sent me to RIT for the weekend. And then I get a text, hey, come hang out. Why are you still in class? Skip it. Come back. I got to leave. And I look at my last class and it's packaging. And I have to take a beat. And I'm like, do I go hang out with this cool person who I met? Or do I go to this class that my teacher, Mr. G, said I should probably do because I was really good at packaging in his class? And honestly, I was torn. It was a really hard decision for me, especially as like a high schooler going into senior year. I was like, this would be really fun to just skip class and go hang out. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to this packaging class and I'm going to see what packaging is about. And let me tell you, man, I am glad that I did. So the packaging class was on the far side of campus. So if you don't know RIT, it's set up into residential side, which is where the dorms are, and there's academic side. And then there's like the far academic side. And that's where the packaging building is. It's a place called the Slaughter Building. It's the Louise Slaughter Hall. I don't know where, this poor woman, her name is Louise Slaughter, and we call it the Slaughterhouse. I don't know, it's terrible. Anyways, it's way on the other side of campus, and it's where the packaging facilities are housed. And I didn't know that at the time, so I'm hauling butt to get across campus. And I'm just going to say it's hot out. And it's Rochester, so it's Rochester hot, but it's still hot, and it's muggy. And I think it takes place in like July, so it's warm. And you finally get to the building, and the building is a maze. And I still had a hard time as a student at RIT. Spoiler alert, I ended up going to RIT. But I had a hard time as a student at RIT finding this room, and let alone as like a person who doesn't go to RIT. It was near impossible. Okay, so I finally find this room, and there's a couple of people there. You can tell the people have definitely dropped like flies. It's the last class of the day. Nobody wants to be there. It's hot. And sitting in this room is this guy. His name's Dr. Voss. He wasn't a professor at RIT when I went there, but he was a professor at RIT when I was going for this program. And he's got this table in front of him, and it's just full of like garbage. It's just full of like empty bottles and bags and boxes and like you name it. There's just trash on this table, and it looks like someone took a dumpster and just poured it out. And there's chairs. And inside this room, there's all this other weird stuff. There's like this rail system with a weird wall. There's this flat area with a cage around it. There's these like little fork things, but like there's all this other stuff, right? And in the middle of this like chaos room is this garbage man. And he's standing there and he waits till the like bell, there's not actually a bell, but like till the class starts, and he stands up in the front and he goes, "All the stuff you see on this table is packaging." And I'm going to be honest, I don't know, it kind of like blew my mind immediately. I was like, well, yeah, of course it is. But like, so? And he goes into this big tirade about how there's so much stuff in this world that is packaging that people don't realize, and that everything that is packaging needs to have somebody to design that package. And he's like, just think about it. When was the last time you purchased something that didn't come in a package? And everyone's like, well, it's fruit, fruit doesn't come in a package. And he's like, well, maybe when you purchase it, it doesn't come in a package. But like, think about the large bin that it comes in, right? It's called a Gaylord. And everyone laughs because we're in high school, like, oh, Gaylord. And, it's this big bin that's packaging. Like someone has to design that. And then someone's like, well, what about the tap water at my house? I was like, okay, well, maybe tap water at your house, but like, that's probably the only thing at your house that didn't have a package at some point, right? So I don't know, my wheels start spinning in my brain of like trying to think of like what doesn't have packaging, and I can't think of anything. And I'm like, this is like a really lucrative career. And I could just think to like my high school teacher saying, AJ, you should get into packaging, and me thinking, wow, that sounds really dumb. And now I feel really dumb because packaging is a legit career, and it is more than just boxes. It's so much other stuff. Packages and bottles and bags and labels and shipping containers and pallets. And there's like an infinite world of what packaging is and what it can be and what it's going to be. And with new and exciting developments of materials and everything on the horizon, like packaging's exciting. It's new and it's changing. And like packaging 100 years ago, some of it's still used today and some of it's not. And some of it won't be used in 100 years from now. And so what is that new and exciting thing that maybe I could develop? And what is that going to look like for me? So needless to say, I got hooked that day. And I went into my senior year knowing that I was going to do packaging as a career, which is something that I think that most students probably don't know when they're in high school. They want to do packaging. And a lot of college students don't know they want to do packaging either. Especially when I was at RIT, a lot of students ended up transferring into the packaging program. But for me, I only applied to RIT. It was the only school that I ever wanted to go to. And I did early acceptance, got in. I applied to both the packaging program and the mechanical engineering program, ended up getting into the packaging program, and fell in love with it. There was 13 of us in the original packaging group on day one, and they called it like the original packaging peeps. We had a Facebook group because Facebook was cool then. And we would like all get together to do our homework, and it was like really nice, tight-knit community. And I think on graduation day, we ended up having like 45 people in our program graduate because all these people end up finding out about packaging and transferring in. And it's a great career path. I've been doing it for over 11 years now, almost 12 years. And I don't think I could see myself doing anything else besides packaging. I think that there's a wide variety of career paths you can go inside of the packaging industry. But it's something that I just have fallen so much in love with that, I made a podcast about it called I Bleeping Love Packaging. Like it's something that I want other people to experience and other people to know that it's a career option for them. And you can do it. Like you can get into packaging, and it is exciting. It's more than just boxes. And like if I could go back and tell high school AJ to listen to Mr. G, I don't think that high school AJ would listen to right now AJ. But the experiences that I've had to get to this point, I think are important. And I hope that maybe somebody listening to this who might not know that they want to do packaging yet gets excited about packaging and they learn like, hey, this is my time to do it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for listening. If you're really excited about what you're hearing so far, next week we're going to talk about my career so far in packaging. So we're going to talk about my 7 years at Hasbro, my about 10 months at Nemo and why that was so short, and my almost 4 years at Lovevery, and the projects I worked on at that time. Okay, so this is where we put the sponsor. Today's sponsor is me, I Bleeping Love Packaging. If you guys want to be a sponsor of I Bleeping Love Packaging, give me a shout at ibleepinglovepackaging@gmail.com, because I bleeping love packaging and I hope you do too.